Welcome back to the Two Familiar Podcast. I'm Marlena Ariel, and as you can see, Tishena's not with us today. But I had to pull our producer in, Mr.
Pro-
Tone.
Producer extraordinaire.
Yeah.
What's going on? Let's clap it up for myself.
And not for me too.
You don't have the button.
This,
When it's your studio, you can control stuff.
listen, that's crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I got you.
So we back with another episode. I was gonna be by myself today, but I decided to drag Tone in with me on this conversation. How was your
Actually, let's keep it honest. Let's keep it honest, okay? Because that's what we're not going to do on these podcasts is not keep it honest. I told you about that. No, what it was because circumstances changed, me and her started having a conversation. And if you know anything about a podcast network is you're going to have more conversations off the mic than you'll ever have on the mic. Sometimes the conversations off the mic they just got names in it that you don't want to say, or you're not fully fleshed out how you think about it. So for those listening, basically she didn't know what she wanted to talk about, and I basically started throwing questions at her that got her thinking. I was like, "Nah, we ain't finna waste good material right now. So let's go ahead and let's pod real quickly on this here."
Yeah. So how has your week been? We
My,
ain't seen you either in a few weeks. Actually, you done got a whole new studio and everything.
oh, they called me to come back to the streets right now. I know exactly who they got. That's a client right there. No, actually, this was a great week for me. This is a very, very good week for me. Like she said, I ended up expanding the brand. I've gone from just strictly podcasting only in the So Greedy studio, and I have now expanded to the point where I have TDR Network has their own studio as well too. And then earlier this month, we launched Tone Deaf Radio. So we put the R back in TDR. So we now have an internet radio station that's podcast first, music second, and it's Milwaukee's own pod station. So a lot been going on with me.
Yeah.
A lot been going on. Let me clap it up for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Clap it on.
So when do we get our time frame, our segment on
the radio?
Yeah.
Now the rules for all the podcasts under my network is you got to have 10 episodes in before we start working on new things because I want you to perfect your current craft 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you would not be good for radio because honestly, believe it or not, some podcasts should be radio shows and not podcasts. Only because the quality of their content, the way they interact, some people don't really care about the streams and stuff like that. They care about putting the product out. And sometimes even in that moment.
Right.
So, but I want you first to perfect your craft, get comfortable, which is what we're going to talk about in this conversation. That's the name of the episode, comfortable in your craft. And just make sure that this is the lane you want to be in.
Yeah.
That's all. Then the radio will come. The radio will come.
My week has been very hectic. I was in the hospital this week and I was off from work, and my coworkers and my manager are so sweet. They sent me flowers this morning.
Aww.
I know. Now I started crying. I never, honestly, in all of my jobs, I've never felt like a friendship or like just safe in my work environment. Like I always felt like
without telling the name of your job, what career field are you in? Or is it even a career or is it just a job to you?
It's just a job to me.
Just a job to you? What field you in?
I'm in it's in the fitness realm.
Okay.
And there I do social media things and customer service things.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is this is the first job you've had where you feel appreciated outside of what you do.
Right.
Gotcha. That's rare.
I know, right?
It's very rare. I don't know if the pandemic made a lot of people start to appreciate those who still stayed at the job, or even that people realized that you gotta love on your coworkers just like you love on your family sometimes. Because even my current job right now, yes, I do still have a regular 9 to 5 because I got bills to pay. But even on my regular job, I've had a lot of things going on in my personal life, And as long as they know about it, a lot of times these companies will work with you.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're not out here doing nothing stupid in the name of these things, a lot of companies now do care more about their employees because a pandemic can happen anytime. And then if you ain't got nobody there, you could not be a business at all.
Right.
So
Yeah,
great
so
shout out to them.
I know I was there, and they be like supporting the show. Like even if they be like, "Oh, I missed a week, but I still liked it, or I still saved it," like they really been supporting me, and so yeah.
One thing that you're going to find out about anything you do, your biggest supporters will be people who don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not saying that the people who do know you hate on you or anything like that. It's just that the intangibles don't hit the same from people you know and love.
Right.
Like it took years for me to get public support from my parents about me doing this. Now, a lot of that had to do with the fact that my parents, they're old school. So entrepreneurship is not something that really sits in their head with them. A lot of times it's more like get a job and make sure you got a good job with benefits. Entrepreneurship is a risk. Or they thought it was just a hobby or something I was doing on the side. But when they started seeing shows that I was working with and they're starting to get recognized, and it's like I'm getting recognized for helping them get that first step through the door.
Mm-hmm.
Now it started looking like, oh, wait a minute. This ain't a hobby to him. Like this is real. This is a business. And now they're starting to be more involved in it. But in the beginning, not everybody's going to be your biggest fan.
Yeah.
And it's not personal. It's not that they plotting on your downfall. And I wish people would stop thinking that everybody's hating on them.
Right.
They just got stuff to do and you may not be on their mind.
And that's I wrote this down too from Rick Ross. He said, "When I go to people's pages, I see one like after 8 minutes. All that tells me is that everybody you grew up with saw it and they went by it. Why don't they hit the like button? 80% of the time, if I see my people posting something or doing something, even if I'm not really listening to it or watching it, I still like it to support."
That's true. And I think that's something we have to start getting used to. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you follow the Tone Deaf Pod page on Facebook, you'll start seeing more of me sharing people's stuff than you may see me actually posting my own stuff. Because, like I said, I work a regular 9 to 5, so I may not be creating content in that moment, or I may be creating content somewhere else. But that doesn't mean that if a friend of mine is posting a new hair care product she just created, I'm sharing it. If there's
Mm-hmm.
an event going on here at Sherman Phoenix, I'm sharing it 2 or 3 times. If there is a friend who has a special going on, I'm sharing it. If it shows up and I know that you're not a shady person behind the scenes, I'm sharing it.
Yeah.
Like I'm sharing it because at the end of the day, people who watch my page are always not the same people that watch your page. So just the simple fact that maybe 6 people seen when I posted are 6 people who would have never seen it on your page,
Right.
and that can
Right.
make the biggest difference for you in the long run. So I get it, but not everybody's built like that,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Do you feel like people take the social media support more serious than like if you were selling something and I liked it on Facebook, but I never spent a dollar in your business. Do you feel like that's the same, or you would rather somebody put the money back into you since your business is to sell something?
I'm gonna give an answer that's not common. I'm okay with the like
Mm-hmm.
because here's literally going back to what we just said. You may not have been able to spend with me in that moment because you may not have the money to spend. Sometimes spending money with a person is a luxury. Okay. I am a heavy, heavy supporter of classic. It's to the point where if I'm not in a business attire, you're always going to see something that says classic on me, one shape or form. T-shirts, sweatpants, shorts, shirts, whole 9 yards. I've been supporting Maria literally since almost basically day one. Has nothing to do with her as a person. Did not know her as a person when I first supported it. I like the brand simply by the fact that I have on the shirt when I'm on air. Could sometimes be like, "Oh, that's dope. Where'd you get that from?"
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that's all it needs. Since I say this year started, I have probably bought one shirt this whole year from her. and it has nothing to do with me not liking anything. One, I have everything, so I
Yeah.
gotta wait for the new lineup to come out. But on the back end, it's like, what if every time I seen her and I spend money? Yes, that's good for the business, but if every time I'm on camera, I have on a classic shirt, or every single time I go do a podcast, I have on a classic outfit, or if I'm out and about shopping and I have on a classic jumpsuit with a dope color combination, that's helping her more than the $20 I may have paid for that T-shirt that day. The
Hmm.
simple fact that I'm at an event hosting a podcast where there's 50,000 people there, and this brown jumpsuit that I had come on with some Travis Scott J's could have been the, whoa, that's a dope combination. Where'd you get that from? Now, if only 10% of those 50,000 just went to her website, how much more money do you think she made compared to my
One time.
$20?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So that's why, like, the social media support to me actually does matter. I just hate people who only rely on social media.
Mm.
That's what we have to break away from. There's tons of social media groups that let you drop your links in there for what you're promoting, advertising, but because you dropped that link and nothing happened, now you're upset. Nobody
Right.
supports me. No, you got to do more than that.
Yeah.
You got to have a street team. You got to get out there and market it. You got to post multiple times. You got to break the meta. Okay, something you're gonna learn eventually with social media promotion. That you got to learn the meta. You got to figure out how to crack the code of Instagram to make you show up first every time somebody opens up their timeline. You got to figure out how to do those things,
Hmm.
and when you figure those things out, then you're gonna get more people.
Yeah.
So it's going to get to the point where, yes, your cousin TT didn't come and buy a T-shirt from you this weekend when you had this pop-up shop going on, but because you learned how to break the meta on social media, where you were posting the whole entire process of you making this shirt, now you got 50 people in line right now to buy a shirt. Don't worry about TT right now.
Hmm.
TT might give you money later on down the road to invest. TT might have let you use her electricity to print those shirts. Look at it. You got to look at, everything is not always what cash got put in your hand.
Right.
The intangibles is what matter a lot too.
Mm. So one more thing that I saw online.
Okay.
What do you feel like? So the man was talking and he did some studies and all that. I didn't write all
Okay.
that down, but he was just talking about the difference in people confuse being an entrepreneur and being self-employed. And
Okay.
that being self-employed is just you've created a job for yourself. And an
Right.
entrepreneur is someone who they could walk away from their business for months and it's still running because
Okay.
it is a business.
Entrepreneur, similar to what I normally tell people, there's hustlers and then there's entrepreneurs. Okay. Black people are known or taught to be hustlers.
Hmm.
Okay. It's a natural habit. We go out here and we jump on what the trend is and we sell to the trend. You'll see a lot of bootleg Giannis shirts out here
Right.
because it's a trend. That's a hustle. You need to get some money real quickly. Uh, Hate to say this, selling hair and doing nails for a lot of people is just a hustle. That is probably the biggest example of the difference between an entrepreneur and a hustler. I can go here and I know that I know how to braid hair. So I can say every Friday through Saturday after I get off work, I'm a braid hair. And that's all I do. That's all I do is I braid hair. But an entrepreneur figures out, I can braid hair Friday through Saturday, but Monday through Thursday, let me learn new styles. Monday through Thursday, let me figure out how ways I could get my own shop so everybody don't have to come into my house to do this instead. Let me figure out ways that I can get my own space. Maybe me braiding hair could pay my bills now, but what if I was able to get a shop where I could have other people braiding hair?
Right.
So even though I'm paying rent because I need a specific place just for me to be able to braid these people hair, because everybody can't come into my house, but I realize I only need this corner for my work. What about that corner? What about that corner? What about that corner? Let me rent out these other three corners to three other people who need to do the same thing. So let me cut out the first leg work for them, and you just pay me up front. So that means if I do not come to my corner Monday through Thursday, I'm still making money.
Hmm.
Now you turn into an entrepreneur. You can still braid hair because that's what you love to do. But now you can make what you do make money for you without you doing it at all.
Yeah.
That's the difference. With podcasting, I'm a producer. Y'all pay me to make y'all sound good or look good, depending on what kind of show you got.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, once you guys are done, my business still makes more money on another end or another aspect of it.
Right.
Those who are 100 exclusively under TDR, now we got advertisements coming in. Now we got marketing. Now we got sponsorships. Now we're getting to the point where you're paying me to do work, but now your shows can turn around and pay you. So
Mm-hmm.
eventually nothing comes out your pockets anymore. You just have to continuously keep making the content for the people still want to keep supporting you.
Right.
That's how I'm an entrepreneur because I don't have to be here for all of us to still keep eating if done right.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to listen to me. Also, an entrepreneur has to learn how to take L's. You got to know how to take losses. You got to know how to keep your books clean, meaning you got to keep track of everything you did. The person who was braiding hair may get paid $300 for every head they do, but once that cash is gone, you have no proof that you just got paid
It's,
300 for doing hair.
right.
But if you opened up this shop, every hair that comes in here comes with a receipt, comes with a profit and loss, comes with something that proves that you are a valuable business that's growing. Now companies want to support you. So yeah, you can still keep charging 300, but that now is pocket money and you're not paying the bills because you found the way to have other people pay your bills for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now all of us can eat. Now those three people in that corner, I can teach them how to get their own building. And because I taught you how to get your own building and we've worked out an agreement to get you this building, I get 10% of your building funds. So now I'm making money off of you. And now you've got three people in your corners that you're making more money off of. And we keep doing that. And that's how the business grows.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you go from a hustler to an entrepreneur.
Period. So the whole way we got on the topic of entrepreneurship, me and Tishena went to Atlanta on our networking trip. That I know we
Okay.
never recapped that with y'all, but first of all, with the Atlanta trip, fuck American Airlines because y'all had me stuck in DC for 8 hours in the middle of the night. I was bored. I was sitting up just talking on the phone to my cousin. She stayed there with me the whole time. Nothing was open to eat. I couldn't go nowhere. They wasn't giving out a hotel, nothing. And I had to argue with the lady on the phone about getting a voucher for flight credits. It was a lot going on. But once we got to Atlanta, we got to the event, and I feel like I got a lot out of that event and a lot
Okay.
of information, a lot of things put into perspective for me as far as the podcast. Um, like I kind of said last week, I felt like honestly, I really didn't know how much work went into podcasting. Cause well, you know that I watch podcasts and
Right.
stuff like that, but actually being in it and doing it is way different.
So what happened? So let's start here. What was your perception beforehand?
I honestly I felt like it was just someone like you who were recording it for the person. They come in
Okay.
and have their conversation, and then that was it.
Well, technically, for a lot of people, that is podcasting.
That's true.
For a lot of people, that is. For a lot of people, I'm a savior because you just sit down, you say what you got to say, you go home, and I take care of the rest.
Hmm.
But that's also why I charge what I charge
Right.
because I do so much. But then we have people like you who very hands on. You just need me to make it sound good. You do all the rest. That's the part that a lot of people are willing to pay someone else to do. So by you being a person who you get down, you do your own editing, you do your own video production, you do your own promotion, you make your own flyers, you do everything but legitimately make it out there for people to find,
Hmm.
you see that this is not a hobby.
Yeah.
You can't treat it like a hobby because the minute you be like, I don't want to do this no more, all of the work you've done just went down the toilet for no
Right.
reason.
Right.
But whereas in an individual who sits down and records, it was like, oh, well, I don't have the money anymore, so I can't record. Now you built this whole machine because you went out here and you've done all these different things and you made this show. But because I'm the person who did everything for you, I'm not going to let you work for free.
Hmm.
Like I'm a businessman, okay? I work with you. We got payment plans. I take Klarna, but 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 you're not going to do it for free. But whereas in you could wake up one day and was like, I love working with Tone. He's a great teacher, but I can't. I don't want to go to the studio no more. I want to do it on my own. And guess what? You can. And people in your position, these are people who are more likely to stick with it for 4, 5, 6 years, grow the brands, get the awards because they understand it's not easy. They understand that the sound sounds like this, the video sounds like this, the links go here. This is what an RSS feed is and why it's so important. You get all that because you have to do that yourself. You choose to do that yourself. And that's what makes the biggest difference from an actual podcaster and an individual that just wants to hear themselves talk.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad you went to that. Hell, if I didn't have all this going on, I probably would have been down there with you because don't get me wrong, I still go to these kind of events too. I still look to listen and learn from other people because I still have things that need to be polished on.
Yeah.
Even though you walk in here, it's like, oh, this is serious. It's not where I want it to be.
Yeah.
It's not the level I want it to be. It's not the sound I want it to be. I want to be able to have floating microphones that look like they cost $500 and have these conversations. But no, I'm still using regular microphones that I can get at any merry-go-round or, hell, I don't even know the name of the music stores here. That's sad, ain't it?
Well, we got Guitar Center.
Guitar Center, that's what I'm thinking of. That I can get from Guitar Center. And that may be at the bottom of the list. They may look at me like, broke ass nigga, when I walk in there and buy the microphone. But to me, it's like, it's a big deal. You know, it's like, I've been saving up to get this mic. What you talking about? Calling me broke. Oh, man, you need this. All the people podcasting got this mic. Okay, but I'm doing good with this one right here.
Right.
Now, if I want to buy that one, that's because I want to buy it, not because you told me to buy it. And you'll understand that concept later on as you start to do this more and more yourself too.
Yeah.
Because maybe one day you might be in my position.
Maybe. So one of the panels that was at the festival, Chad, who is the owner of 85 South Media, like their whole, he was on that panel. And another lady who was on there, I forgot her name, she was kind of wanting to argue the whole podcast is audio, is not a visual thing.
It is the ongoing conversation. All right. So pre-pandemic, all podcasting was audio. That's all it was. If you had visuals, it was only because you were saving it because you wanted to take footage as a behind the scenes kind of thing. We didn't care. I remember some of my earlier shows sitting at my sister's house. We on 3 different couches spread across the room. It's cords running from where I am to 5 or 6 different mics all over the house. And we're just sitting there having conversations. We didn't care what we looked like. We didn't care about what was going on. Hell, we probably have a whole chicken dinner before we got on air sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't matter what was perceived on TV. But that's not how we started consuming during the pandemic. You see, pre-pandemic, you're listening in your cars. You're listening at your desk at work. You're listening while you're out jogging. You were listening while you were outside. But then there was 2 weeks where we couldn't go outside. There was 2 whole weeks where we had to sit there and look at the person who we considered our mate and be like, damn. And that damn could have been good or bad.
Okay.
It could have been good or bad, but it was damn. Parents realize that they don't like their kids. Kids realize they didn't like their parents. Animals is like, nigga, why are you here? I have a party coming through.
Right.
Like, animals were like, y'all got to go. Okay? Everybody was sick of everybody, so we needed a distraction. We binge watched Bridgerton. We finished all of Blackish. We watched anything and everything under the sun. And then all of a sudden, people started working from home. So it's like, oh, I don't only have to hear it in my ear because I'm not supposed to be listening to it. I'm at home by myself. Let's have these visuals. Now, I can sit my tablet up on my desk and I can see the podcast now. I can visually see what was going on. And now it became a thing. A lot of radio stations were doing this thing where you'll hear it on the radio on a Monday. But by Wednesday, you log on YouTube and you could see the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
You could visually see it. That's how we started getting a lot of Breakfast Club clips in the beginning.
Right.
Because it was always afterwards you seen all this here. Could you imagine the Soulja Boy Drake scene without the visual?
Right.
It made a big difference. So visual started becoming a thing. So we started watching the shows instead of hearing them because now we could see what was going on. And podcasters started using their visuals as a way to draw people in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm in the studio recording today for Too Familiar. So my phone might be set up and I might go live for 10 minutes of the episode. And then I cut it off. Now, when this episode drops, ooh, I got to hear what they was talking about. He stopped right before the conversation started getting good.
Right.
So now I got to go and find a podcast and listen to it. But then what started happening was people started interacting right then and there. So people started talking to us right then and there, giving us their answers, giving us their POVs. So the live started going longer and longer. And now it got to the point where sometimes the lives started to show. So the minute I cut the microphones on, your camera's on, your phone's on. So it's like, why do I need to go listen to the episode if your phone just showed the whole episode from your point of view?
Mm-hmm.
They got the conversation. So let's take out all of that and let's put it on the screen. Let's put it so you can see everybody and you can hear everybody. And now let's work on sets. Let's have this elaborate prime example. Poured Minds. They started in their kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
That was when it was audio only. Then they started getting the black and red background with all the soundproof stuff on it. The visuals started looking a little bit more better. Then eventually they moved over to the 85 South couch. And 85 South has the best visual because you know they're in the studio,
right.
but it looks comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the couch with a coffee table. Your shoe game is exposed. Carlos is being Carlos. And whoever the guest is there is having fun. And that made it a more interactive experience.
Right.
So now I care about that. It's to the point where 85 South is not a podcast anymore. If you listen to the conversation, the way they talk, that's not a podcast. That's a bunch of guys and friends on the couch having conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That's more common and more relatable. Because a lot of podcasts start because, oh yeah, I was on the phone with my friend, me and my friends at the house, we was watching, smoking weed, and we funny as hell. People need to hear us. Now we got visuals that match it.
Yeah.
You are kind of funny. Your facial expression matters. I get up all the time when I'm off camera. Some of my shows will say things and we go back and forth. But they miss my facial expressions to see what went along with why randomly the person in that chair is laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Visuals need to work with that. So it's a 50-50 right now. The audio still needs to be good. The interaction still needs to be relatable, but now we can see what's going on.
Right.
And it works for people. So I don't hate it. It actually works for both. I just charge more.
Do you feel like there is a heavy push for people to become entrepreneurs nowadays?
I feel like it is this generation's thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The last 3 generations, let's just say grandparents, your parents, and you. Okay. Grandparents were pre-computer. Okay. Everybody's grandparents were pre-computer. So basically means you get up, you go to work every day, you work at a job for 30, 40 years, you get a retirement, and you just be old and live off your pension.
Mm-hmm.
That's your goal. You take your 401k, your pension, your retirement funds, and that's how you're supposed to spend the rest of your life. You go out here, you work to own a home, and you take care of your family. You're supposed to leave the door open so when family's in trouble, they come back. Okay? Then you get to the electronic age. Computers and cell phones are starting to come into the play. So things that used to make us have to be grounded in one place, we don't have to anymore. So your parents had computers and cell phones. So now we work for other people. Okay? But we don't have to do the manual labor jobs like we used to. We can do tech smart jobs. We can do more career-based jobs where we can still get out here and do things, but we don't have to have foot to the pavement. Parents were more beneficials of the vacation days and the um, sick times and stuff like that. But we were still workaholics. Parents were heavy into going to college. Okay. College is the key when
Mm-hmm.
it came to your parents' generation. Hell, my generation. Let me stop acting like I ain't sitting on this camera full of gray. Um, and college was a thing. Everything was about college. Everything on TV was college. Everything about high school was college. Working in a factory job was a dead end thing because a lot of the factory type works that would have given you those 30, 40 years started leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Detroit. Detroit as a whole sucks because the whole entire automotive industry completely removed itself. Hell, Milwaukee got affected by it when we lost A.O. Smith. Okay. So that kind of job didn't make sense for my generation. Now you have your generation that has looked up and seen college ain't always the answer.
Right.
You can go to college for 4 years. You can bust your butt to get this degree that's instantly supposed to get you to the top of the line, to skip all the entry level stuff. Ain't no positions available. Now here you are sitting with $80,000 worth of debt in a career field that's flooded with a bunch of people who don't have the means to be able to do it. So now you're taking an entry level job somewhere else because you got to pay this debt. You can't move. You One thing you can't delete on your credit report when you file bankruptcy: student loans.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know? One of my jobs was collecting on defaulted student loans from bankruptcies. Hardest job I ever had, but it was definitely rewarding if you were successful. But and I just sat here and looked at how many people had these problems, but they had no career. You still end up taking those entry level jobs, those call center jobs, those retail jobs, those basic jobs that you look down on everybody else for taking it. Meanwhile, in the career field that you wanted, that guy or that girl that took that entry level job has now worked their way up to your position. Yeah, you have the credentials, but they have the on the job experience. They've built the relationship with that management team that they know I got you coming in the door, but I got Antonio who's been working here for 3 years going for the same position. Who do you think is going to get it?
Right. The one who's in there.
Exactly. I've been here. You know me. You know my work ethics. You know what I can do. You don't have to train me to your company's ways. I already know it. And I'm not going to ask for as much as you are.
Mm-hmm.
See, because you got this degree, you feel like you're supposed to come in with 650, with like six figures. I might be okay with high fives because I had low fives before I took this job.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got high fives. I'm cool with high fives. You may say I got to have six. My credentials say it. I win by default, and the company saves money. Meanwhile, you got a whole debt you got to pay for. So you started creating the mentality we started creating the mentality for y'all to be like, look, everybody has a need. Are you willing to go out there and buy that need for somebody or create that need for somebody? And that's where entrepreneurship came into play at.
Yeah.
The trick is what are you selling? And if you're selling something that everybody else is selling, what makes yours stand out?
And I feel like I don't. I think it definitely is a generational thing because
Yeah.
some people get into business or have a service and get upset when people don't support them, but they forget that they're rude, that they have all these dumbass rules that they.
Customer service. Customer service is a lost art. Okay. So currently I work a job that requires me to talk to customers about staying with my company. Okay. I'm really good at what I do. Okay. I'm just a natural. I've been hustling since the 80s. For those who know, fill in the gaps and you know exactly why. I've been hustling since the 80s. Okay. And because of that, I know how to communicate with customers. But
Mhm.
I've always had some form of a customer service job all my life because going to college never was my thing. It wasn't. I'll be in school for maybe a semester and a half. I'm like, fuck this shit, I'm out. because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Didn't work for me. And I'm a brilliant person. I just did not like school. So I worked at Hewlett Packard. I worked at Samsung. I worked at Kohl's on the corporate level. I worked for Apple on the IT level. So I talk to different people. And one of the things that I take away from every conversation is what could I do to have made that person who's probably frustrated about their current situation better before I gave them something free? And a lot of times it's conversation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's just figuring out why this phone not working, for an example, for Apple. Why this phone not working really throws their whole day off. Is it because there's a photo in their phone of a loved one that they lost that they don't have anywhere else? Is it because this is their lifeline to their business and they have all their clientele in there? Is it because this is the very first smartphone that they've ever had and they didn't want to get a smartphone to begin with, but everybody else around them made them get one? So now we have to learn how to use this in order to keep up with time. Or maybe it's just the simple fact that they're not Apple fans at all, but they got tired of being picked on for having the green bubble. What is this person's frustration? And by just having general conversations with them allows you to figure out that sometimes things are just easier just explaining something to them and then you're good. So as a business owner, sometimes when a customer comes in your store, yes, you want to sell them something. But what brought you into the store today?
Mm-hmm.
What made you curious about it? Okay, this is what I sell. What else have you bought similar to this before? Well, what made you like it? Have that conversation. Sit down and build that rapport. A lot of entrepreneurs don't know how to, I won't say network. They don't know
Yeah.
how to not look at somebody who does the same things they do as the opposition.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Like we're competing just because
Not
we're doing the
everything is a
same.
competition.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you may have something that they don't have that makes you unique. But if you two come together and communicate back and forth about what you don't have and what they don't have, and whenever that situation arises in your shop, you send them over there, I guarantee they'll do the same thing over here. If you have two like minded people, I'm a podcast network here in the city of Milwaukee. I will be stupid to believe I was the only podcast network in the city of Milwaukee. Okay. Because I know I'm not. But what I did was I created a friendship and partnerships with several other networks in the city. And you want to know what that does? We work together. So
Mm-hmm.
we communicate together. Whenever someone's having struggles of trying to expand something, we reach out to each other. We have a group chat where we all sit down and we talk about things. So if one of us is planning an event, we tell about the event and we promote all together. If there is, let's say, a politician or an event coming up and someone wants to go on a podcast tour, oh, they'll reach out like, hey, you know, everyday media, I got such and such who wants to come in and do about 2 or 3 podcasts to promote their show. I can't keep that person to just me because not everybody fits my shows, but more importantly, that's limiting their reach. Maybe this message is something that I feel like needs to be heard by everybody. So why just only have them here at TDR? Send them to Everyday, send them to Audio Mogul, send them to anybody who's willing to listen and
Mm-hmm.
have them as a guest because your guests, I mean, your followers, not always mine. And that message may be perfect for somebody on your show.
Right.
But because I never said nothing to you, that individual missed out on the opportunity to get a blessing. And that person who needs that message probably missed out on a potential client who could have helped grow their business as well, too. Why be selfish like that? None of us are like that. We send people all the time. Like, hey, man, I got this politician coming through. She actually sounds pretty dope, bro. I send her through. And now I'm on the phone. Hey, what are you doing Monday? What are you doing Tuesday? What are you doing Wednesday? What are you doing Thursday? What are you doing Friday? Hey, can you be free this time on Saturday? And now I got this person in the studio every single day that whole entire week in one shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
Now this person is really getting that message out there because it matters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
When would you tell someone? I know people are,
see, I'm doing all your questions today.
because I know people are like so big right now into like finding their purpose and all of that stuff. When do you, or when would you advise someone to really take a step back and think about what they're doing. Because what if I could be bad at podcasting, but I feel like, oh, I love this, I'm good at this, but this may not really be what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm terrible at it, maybe.
Okay. Are you into music?
No.
You don't listen to music.
Oh, I thought you said, do I do music?
No, no, I know you
No.
don't do music. Oh, please,
I could
know.
do. I could sing a little. I could do music.
But you do listen to music, right?
Yeah.
You listen to rap?
Mm-hmm.
You heard of a record label called No Limit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a particular rapper on this label. Been there since the beginning of the time. His name is Silk the Shocker. You ever heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody who listens to hip hop knows exactly where I'm going with this. Silk the Shocker has on numerous occasions been on the top of the list, top 5 consistently, worst rappers in the game. Consistently. You think that ever stopped him from dropping albums? Did you think that ever made him be like, maybe I should just go to songwriting only? No,
Mm-hmm.
he kept doing what he was doing. And I'm not saying that if you bad, keep doing it because you know you bad, but keep doing it until you no longer want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because the only way a person gets better is if they keep practicing on it. Maybe what you just need to do is pivot what you're doing on your podcast.
Right.
Maybe you need to take the visual aspect out of it for a while until you get comfortable with the conversation piece. Maybe it's not meant for you to podcast by yourself, and maybe you're supposed to have a co-host. Maybe you need to have a co-host who's not family. Maybe you need to be the beta of the team and let the other person be the alpha. Maybe you're a great support system and not the leader. You just have to learn not necessarily your purpose, but you have to be comfortable with pivoting.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're comfortable with pivoting, eventually your time will come around where the position you want to be in will be there. You just might not be ready for it in that moment. Like, I hated being on the microphone in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I was more so about let me be behind the scenes, let me build the brand, let me make the life, let me be the guy behind the curtains that makes the theater run. But as time goes on, I became the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Then I became the support system. Then I became the person who was the understudy. Then I became one of the main characters. Then I became the play. It gets to a point where eventually you have to switch your role because the role you change to is perfect for what needs to be done in that moment. So right now, you two may be great as a podcaster together. Knock on wood. For those who listen, this is wood.
Yeah.
Okay. But maybe you split one time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you become interview based, where you interview people and that's your whole show. I currently right now, this is not me bragging people, this is more of a testimony to what I'm saying. I am currently right now listed as the #1 business podcast in the state of Wisconsin. I only did my solo podcast because my partner on my main podcast was too goofy at times for me to have certain guests on there. I did not feel comfortable bringing certain guests on our show because when they're trying to be serious, he couldn't be serious in his mind. He eventually grew up and grew out of a lot of that. So we do have those serious moments because he went back and he listened and he's seen, yo, I'm just too childish at times.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to tell him, this is why I do where I come from. Because I couldn't do it on the Deaf Fresh show because of not only your POVs on certain things, but if I have a person who is of this demographic, this race, creed, or color, and we're trying to have conversations about serious issues, you want to go into the stereotypes because you find it's funny. And I get that, but I have to do something different to protect the integrity of what the purpose of the conversation was. And he didn't take it personally that I went solo because we still kept doing the Deaf Fresh show. It just took him a minute to realize why we couldn't do it on the Deaf Fresh show. Now I can bring those conversations to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Now he just says, hey, who do we have as a guest this week? This is what we're talking about. This is what we're doing. Cool. Now he has a better understanding that I can't be goofy with this type of conversation. But bro, next week, I'm going all out bigot. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like we got that happy medium. We'll
Mm-hmm.
never win an award because we'll get disqualified every time. But it's a simple fact that sometimes you got to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
So you might not be good, just pivot.
How do you feel in business? Why you doing that?
Business conversation can always be tricky.
um on the okay, how am I trying to ask the question? Because you've been in this for a while.
Okay. 11 years as of April.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then how do you what do you feel like makes, because you obviously watch podcasts, what do you feel like makes
A good
us,
pod.
yeah, and not
Okay.
even like because somebody is new, maybe they're nervous, but just like when you hear content, what makes it be like, no, that's not really.
Okay. So what you're basically asking me in so many words is what makes me be engaged?
Mm-hmm.
What makes me stay and listen to that podcast? Okay. Number one, topic. Topic is always going to be the biggest things. I guarantee to you that if you let this episode play at least once a day for the next week, you're going to get a lot of listeners simply because people want to know about how to start a podcast. But more importantly, entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Who you have for the conversation also gets me too. And of course, by default, we always lean into celebrities. Like I
Yeah.
had a podcast, and I seen in the bio, yeah, today we got special guest Jill Scott in the building. You're gonna be like, oh, Jill Scott, click. I don't even know who the hell this show is, but I want to hear what
Well, I want to hear what she talk
I want to
about,
hear what she's
right?
talking about.
Yeah.
So of course that definitely gets the person drawn in, but not every show has celebrities, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the topic is the key thing with podcasts, and what you talk about makes the biggest difference. Like, it is not only what the topic is, but how you talk about that topic. Prime example. Everybody talks about dating, right? Dating has gotten so synonymous to pee in the pool right now, where you got people who don't even know what dating is scared to date because they feel like dating is bad now.
Mm-hmm.
Because all we do is talk about bad experiences and generalize it on the dating pool as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's always in the same circle of it. It's always just, is you a weekend? Do he have
Right.
to pay your rent? Like it's
Right. It's
always,
always the same general stupid.
yeah.
You don't want to be in adult conversations. That's
Mm-hmm.
really what it is. So, of course, when you hear topics that you're sick of hearing, you automatically tune out. Okay. If
Mm-hmm.
I heard someone say, "Oh, well, I went on a date with a guy this weekend, and I don't know what it is with these dudes asking about the table." Click. I don't even want to hear it. You may have a great dialogue afterwards, but the trigger words, bring it to the table. Nope, don't want to hear it because we shouldn't even be talking about the table anymore. No one should give a damn about the table.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, technically, a real relationship, both of y'all are building the table together. That's what a relationship is. But we still gonna have those kind of podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what makes me stay and listen to someone talk about relationships when I clearly know that there's about 27 other ones probably in my queue that's going to be about relationship too? It's how you approach it. I can talk about the fact that I went on a date this weekend, right? I didn't go on no date this weekend, but still,
Oh,
let's say I
that
did.
was gonna be my next question after you was done.
Didn't go on no date, but I could. But if I talked about the positives, what I notice about myself in the date. That's the key thing. People who take accountability in their conversations is key because I'm more interested in how you feel about what you did. If all you do is point fingers at about the person across the table from you, and then that person just points fingers back at you across the table, now we're just having an argument.
Mm-hmm.
We're not even having a healthy debate. We're just having an argument at that point in time. Well, you didn't pick up the tab, and I think that men should. Nope. Click. Don't want to hear it no more. Talk about what you enjoyed at the date. Talk about what you liked about the person. What made you even want to go out with that person to begin with? Give us a little details about him. That way now we can figure out what kind of person you're into. I'm learning about you during the conversation. If I learn something during the conversation, I will always stay for it. I will always tune in. It doesn't matter what it is. Angela Yee, as annoying as she is for people, I used to listen to her podcast long before she ever left the Breakfast Club,
Mm-hmm.
and she has a very
Based,
sex
yeah.
podcast. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know what to call it. It's always something sex related.
Sexual, yeah. I feel like it's the sex podcast.
Yeah, it's a sexually orientated podcast. It's
Yeah.
always been. And I always looked at the fact that Angela Yee did that podcast simply because it's the alternative to what the Breakfast Club was. Because you couldn't have that kind of
Mm.
conversation on air. So
Mm-hmm.
I can understand why she's having that conversation off. Then she has, I think, one of her guests is either ex stripper, a couple of her friends. And
Yeah.
it was like, so it was always a slew of different women from different perspectives. And even though they were talking about sex and all these different things, each one gave me something a little bit more about the stripper. I started learning more about that behind the scenes club life
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people don't talk about. Even though we know tons of people who are exotic dancers, but nobody talks about anything outside of getting that money, where she was actually talking about little things that we eventually end up seeing through P Valley.
Right.
So a lot of P Valley is based on some, not her stories, but
But
just
some stories,
some
yeah.
real stuff. So it made me being able to watch P Valley, and as a dude, that like most people, like I'm watching P Valley because of titties. I was there for the titties too, but the story kind of I was more in depth into because I've heard similar people in those positions tell these stories in real life. So I was more intrigued with that. So because of that, that's what I'm into. I was like, oh, okay, so this is what goes on, and you have to deal with this, and oh man, you tell me, and he was this. I'm into that part. I'm listening. Okay, I'm here. I could care less that y'all talked about dicks and what happened to the men with big dicks with girth. Now we just get long pencil dicks. I don't care about that because I like girls, comma, but I got past that because now you're telling the story about when you met this one guy and you were into him and you looked at him tall, dark, and handsome, and he had all this going on and woo, this, and then he just tore your insides. I was like, oh, okay, the sex podcast. So I'm not shocked that's the ending, but you wrote me into the story to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You gave me good content that had me there, and that's really what makes me stay with a podcast. Earn Your Leisure, prime example. One of my biggest podcasts I listen to outside of anything I do here at TDR because I'm too busy editing everything now that I don't listen to other podcasts too often. See, now I'm really talking. So now you really got me podding right now because I talk fast when I pod. But I'm learning something every day from the business aspect of it. I listened to a crime story one time when me, same co-host I was talking about from my Death Fresh show, and his sister, we drove from Atlanta to Milwaukee. We went down to Atlanta ourselves one time just to kick it. We drove back. We listened to about 3 crime story podcasts, and those were engaging. I was there. Zane, I don't know if that's before your time.
Zane's Sex Chronicles?
Yes. She actually used to have a pod series where she had an actual story that was being told via podcast. Mm-hmm. Okay. That had me intrigued because I love audiobooks. So literally that's all it really was an audiobook broken up, but it was an original story too. So things like that, if you can catch my attention and I can learn something from it and you keep me on the edge of my seat, I'll always stay there. And a lot of podcasters are missing that. Mm-hmm. Like you have to entertain me, you have to educate me, and you have to inform me. It's 3 keys to a great podcast. If you do all 3 of those things before your podcast is over, you had a great episode.
Period.
Big facts.
I feel like we got a lot of good learning from.
You get me started, fam. I'm gonna teach you the game. The rest of it's gonna cost you.
Yeah. See, okay, we're gonna get right into, y'all know, at the end of every episode we play I Know You Fucking Lying. Is it if this is your first time tuning in, then I Know You Fucking Lying is just a game of catch my bluff. I know you probably weren't prepared, but that's okay.
No, that's to make it fun. Let's do this.
So, okay, I'm gonna start it off with how many HBCUs can you name?
Ooh.
I can name 1.
I can name 3.
Okay, I'm just gonna skip 2. I can name 4.
I can name 5.
I can name 6.
I know you fucking lying.
Okay. Tuskegee, Howard, Grambling.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. TSU, is that? Am I saying that right?
Okay, I'll let that. I know what you. Yeah, I think you're right.
Um,
You know, it's only 4, right?
Texas Southern.
Okay. Wait, ain't Texas Southern TSU?
Oh.
Ah, you know, you want to hear something funny? If I had to say, none of the ones you said was on my list. And I'm mad at myself for not remembering Howard at all. Like I would have Howard, Hampton, Mississippi Valley State, North Carolina Central, Spelman,
Oh, Spellman. And Morris.
Morehouse.
Yeah.
Like I just could. All right, what you got for me?
Okay.
What's next?
How many Beyonce songs can you name? You seen she just started her tour?
I seen the tour.
Yeah.
You know what? And it's funny. Diehard Beyonce fans were pissed.
Really?
No, hear me out. The diehard Beyonce fans I knew were pissed because the concert was streaming on her Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there was one of her overseas concerts recently this past week was on Instagram, and a lot of fans were mad because they felt like people were taking the experience of a Beyonce show from them. Now the good thing about it is a lot of them, it's social media. If you don't want to watch it, just don't watch it. But it was a lot of I'm talking hardcore Beyonce fans that refused to watch the live because they have tickets for the concert. They already plan on going to see it. They wanted to experience this tour live for the first time as their first experience, not from on a camera or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was her Instagram though?
I think it was her Instagram. It was her personal Instagram. I think it was either her Instagram or someone in her street team. Whatever it was the whole show. So it was on purpose.
Dang,
it was the whole show.
I didn't even see that. I saw the little like clips, but and I saw like the set list and stuff, but I didn't see the.
Yeah, somebody had the whole thing up. I think it was I at work out there or was at home. So it was either Monday. It was either Monday or Tuesday. It happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, I know they mad because them tickets was high.
Well, maybe, but you got to remember that was overseas though. So what could the people overseas do?
That's true.
You know, it wasn't nobody. It wasn't here in the States. I guess it was in the States. Then I guess people would have really, really been mad because like I just seen this whole concert here. Why would I want to go see? You know.
Yeah.
But if it's overseas, the experience overseas could be completely different than the experience here. You know.
Oh, I can name 4.
Is it Beyonce only, or can we throw some DCs in there?
Okay, we can.
I just don't do. I need to know.
It can have be a little Destiny Child. Yeah.
Shit. I can name 5.
I can name 6.
I can name 7.
I can name 8.
I know you fucking lying.
Give me body. Listen. Say my name. I still care. Like a boy. I mean. No, that's Sierra. What's hers? Something like a boy.
She got a song.
Diva. Dangerously in Love. Crazy in Love.
That's a lot of love.
I know, right? See?
You would have got like Me, Myself, and I, Cuff It, and then like 4 tracks off the Carter album.
Cuff It?
That's what I said. Cuff It. Oh, we got Cuff It.
The one that she did, yes. The remix made it way better.
It is, but I think that was a great move by her team to not put that on the album because I listened to the album and the way the album flowed, it's one continuous party.
Right.
Like you could turn on, I say track 2 and then just let it play and you won't know that you're really on track 7. Because whatever song comes on after Cuff It, sounds like it's supposed to have came there. Like it sounded like it was all recorded at one time, and it always gets me. I used to listen to Cuff It like crazy before TikTok took over. Like fuck y'all.
See, because then that's when that DJ whoever put the wetter on there, and then they said she took it down from TikTok, so nobody could use it. And then all of a sudden she put the.
But
song
that's why
out.
she took it down because she liked it and she wanted to. Because if you pay attention. The wetter version, she has additional vocals, new tracks on there. So she really worked the track. So it wasn't just one of those, let's just slap your vocals on the back of it. No, it was a complete rework.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing that happened with Aniko when she dropped the Jericho a cappella.
Mm-hmm.
She just did it because that verse was very inspirational to her. She said she did not expect people to mash it up like she did, to the point where they took it and they ran with it. And one of the DJs, I think I posted it on my timeline one day. It's like probably my third highest watch reel right now. Shout out to reels. They really be
Shout
doing
out to Reels.
they really be doing numbers randomly,
They
fam.
do. I said my little niece, my brother had called me and he was like, yeah, your niece over here, she done seen y'all on YouTube. I said, shout out to the shorts and the reels.
Right, the reels really be putting people on. I'll be like, damn. It was one of my shows. I was just experimenting with a new AI software that I got introduced to, and I put the reel up of it because the AI software did all the cut up for me, and I posted the reel, and that reel got almost 1 million views, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Let me see what the real life about. The real life about. Okay, so it's my turn.
Well, you didn't thought of a...
No, you go. If you got one, let's go.
Okay, this is my last one then.
Okay.
How many black movies can you name from the 90s?
From the 90s?
Yeah.
I can name 10. I'm gonna tell them.
Okay.
Let's go.
I can name 11.
I can name 12.
I can name 13.
I know you fucking lying. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay. Belly.
Okay.
House Party 2.
That's cheating, but I let it slide. That's cheating. You only get 2 of them. You can't do 3. There's like 7 of the mugs now, so no, you only get 2.
Okay.
And I think the other ones didn't even come out in the 90s.
Yeah, no, I don't think the third one did. Okay. Boys in the Hood.
Okay.
Harlem Nights. Friday at the Next.
I'm only giving you 2. Nah, that's gonna be the rules going forward in the studio. You can only use 2. You can use the regular and the sequel. You can't do trilogies.
Fuck.
You missing some classics. You missing some classics.
Okay, let me think.
I'm gonna fight you.
I can't think now that you didn't put me under pressure. I thought I had it.
Should let me go at 12.
You're right.
That was your fault.
I thought you was gonna keep going.
Nope, I'm smart. I know. I watched y'all play this game. I'm Apple, you Samsung.
Okay.
Me and my babies do this all the time. I'm an expert.
Baby Kids. What's the movie, the South Central, but not the one that Marlon Wayans made? Menace to Society. Set It Off.
I'm only laughing.
That's 10 right there.
Let's stop right there because you're gonna hurt your brain. So number 1, South Central was a movie.
Oh, was it?
Okay. What's the title of the Marlon Wayans movie?
The Don't Be a Menace while all that drinking juice in the South.
Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Oh, yeah.
That's literally 8 movies in that title.
Is it?
Yeah. Miss Society, Juice, Boys in the Hood, South Central. It's another one in there too. Basically, he named all the hood movies.
Dang, I forgot about Juice.
Juice, that was another good one.
I know.
Raheem's
dead. Somebody shot him.
Did you do Poetic Justice?
I forgot.
Did you do Jason's Lyrics?
No.
Did you do Love Jones?
No. All right.
Okay, it was the same. You should let me win.
I had 10 though. I said 13.
You got 10. You said 13. I stopped you because you were starting to hurt your head.
I was.
You were struggling.
You
were struggling. I was getting irritated. I was like, dog, she about to make me kick her off the network.
No, not all the way off the network. Come on.
It's Black 90s movie. That was like the best time. Okay, since we here.
Okay.
Let me do one. I bet you I can name 7 black sitcoms.
Sitcoms. I can name 8.
I can name 9.
I know you fucking lying.
Okay. Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons. The Jamie Foxx show. Shout out to Jamie Foxx.
That was the first one I thought of.
I got mixed reviews right now. I've heard that he's not gonna make it, and I heard he's been home recovering
Yeah, they
already.
said he was playing
Yeah.
pickleball the other day.
Right, like, what can he say something?
Somebody
Shit.
put him on live. So
Right, somebody say something.
Yeah.
Shit. Damn, prop him up in the chair if you got
something, because I'm gonna cry.
Parenthood, Family Matters, The Cosby Show, A Different World. That was my shit. What else? Where I'm at? Living Single, The Reals Friend Show, Girlfriends, Blackish. What did I say? 10.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
10. See, I know all of them, but if you would
have
said,
I didn't even say the two key ones. I didn't say Martin or Fresh Prince.
You didn't.
I was gonna go deep in the bag. I was gonna be like Rock, Out All Night. What was the one with all the schmoly kids on it? It only had 3 episodes. Thea. So you don't know nothing about Thea?
No.
That's where Moesha really started from.
Oh, I think I heard of that.
Yeah. That's where it was like.
I never seen it, but
it was Brandy's first show.
Yeah.
It was all right. That was back then. You know what was funny? During the 90s, they had this obsession with black single dad sitcoms. There was a lot of sitcoms. They didn't last more than a season, but it was a lot of shows where it was like a black dad just raising kids by themselves.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, dog, why everybody got to be alone?
Like one-on-one.
Yep. Yep, he was. Damn. It was him and his best friend.
And then her mom, Tishena Arnold, kept like randomly coming back, like, "Oh, I live in this country."
Yeah, she lived in Antarctica for a while. That's how they ended up there. And then when she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to stay with her mom no more. And then it was like you went off to college, and then the show got stupid.
Yeah, that shit was ass.
It got stupid. There was too many people to care about.
Yeah. Because then it was like, okay, you and Arnaz moved into this house, and now y'all got all these random
and then you don't
even,
and it's not even you and Arnaz together the whole time.
Yeah,
like y'all out here cheating and stuff. The only good thing came out that season was "One Wish" by Ray J.
That's true.
That's it. He's a poor singing "One Wish" out of key at that. I don't know why do we go crazy over that song. That song is trash.
No,
like Dog whole career was trash. It's funny. We just known for the dude who was with Whitney Houston like days before she died. That was about it. Terrible human being. Oh yeah, and then we found Kale, because he had went missing for a while from King to Kale. He wasn't on TV for a while. I think that was his first acting role, and he was still the same character. He plays the same character in everything.
He do. That's what we was talking about. Okay. Even though we were supposed to be done. But we was talking about...
This is what happens when you pie. You know I told you the after stuff? This is what it is.
We was talking about... So Tishena is a huge fan of Lauren London. I mean, I was saying Lauren London is a good actor, but I feel like she plays the same thing.
She is.
She's always like a pretty wife or girlfriend, just a normal girl. Like she's a
girl next door. That's all she is. She's a pretty girl next door.
So then we were talking about if there was a Set It Off remake, who should play the 4? Cleo.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so have you ever seen this TV show called Grand Hustle?
No, wait. No, is that T.I. show?
No, it's not T.I. show. It's an actual comedy. I think it's on Peacock right now, or if not Peacock, it's on HBO. So basically, it's these 4 regular everyday people that work at this casino. There's this one lesbian chick. She's a stand-up comedian. She plays on the show. I think her name is Sarah J, something like that. I gotta look it up. I don't want to disrespect her name like that. I think she would play a great Cleo. Vivica Fox could be played by almost any black woman. Her character was not really that memorable, to be honest with you. I would give it to Coco Jones right now, honestly, because she doing big things, and I can see her commanding, like being Vivica's character. Because at the end of the day, she was the one really calling all the shots.
Right.
See, now you got me pulling up my. What was the one who lost her baby?
And what was never remember her name. I remember Jada was Stoney, and then she was.
Okay, so not Jada, but the other one. She got to be played by Gail Bean, because Gail Bean is the one from
P-Valley.
Is from P-Valley and Wanda on Snowfall.
Yeah.
You gotta let her be that character. For some odd reason, lately, these out of her norm characters, she's been killing. because when she was crackheadish for a while as Wanda, that was a little bit too believable. A little bit too believable. But then at one point in time, Halle Berry was a crackhead. That was a little bit too believable too. So
Yeah.
I ain't gonna put it past nobody. And then Jada. See, I want all new actresses. I want new people. I don't want nobody who's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Zoe from Blackish.
Yara.
Yeah.
Okay, her as Stony?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That might be good to see her do something not like good girl.
I don't, and that's the reason why I want her to do it. Because
Yeah.
Stony technically was good girlish, but she really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
She was like there only because she was helping somebody. So if it wasn't for the fact that the girl who we can't remember, if it wasn't for her being in her situation, Stony would have never been a part of that.
Right.
And I could see, yeah,
yeah, that would be good.
Y'all get some shine now.
Yeah.
If we don't, and I hate to say this because if we, I don't know, this might actually suck when I think about it. Chloe's been trying to get out of her good girl Beyonce comparison bag lately. Because seeing her, did you watch Swarm?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you like it?
I liked it. I like the representation of it. Now, old girl, the main character, could play Cleo. Because if you go to the last episode, when she literally was a Cleo in that moment.
Right.
So I could see it. But that's who I would be. But I might flip and put Chloe in Vivica's spot.
Yeah.
But only because she's trying to break this Beyonce comparison.
I be thinking, so I'm not really familiar with them. I don't really listen to her and her sister music like that. But from seeing them on social media, it do kind of seem a little off brand for her to kind of be the way that she is and more sexual and stuff. But then it's like, did the people who know her, like her fans, was she already like that? And people who weren't are just now catching on to that?
It's the whole entire, here's the best way I could put it. It's the Disney effect. Okay. I call it the Disney effect is because whenever you're a child actor, you're seen as a kid in the roles that you portrayed. So until you are no longer in that role, it's hard for us to see you as anybody other than that character. Prime example, Michael Jamal Warner. You know who that is, right? Okay. Have you ever looked at him as being anything other than Theo?
No.
Exactly. But yet he's done other TV shows. He's done movies. He has a regular everyday life, but he will always be Theo because he started off as a kid and his whole entire acting career, he grew up as Theo. So it's hard for us to see him as anybody other than Theo. Chloe and Haley started off as little kids singing on the internet that got found by Beyonce. And if you listen to their very first album, which is where the theme song for Grownish come from, and then you listen to any other work they did afterwards or even look at their live performances, it has a lot of Beyonce inspiration on it. So for her to get out of that shadow of being compared to her, she had to give you that 20-year-old, 25-year-old independent party girl-ish music. And that's all it is. So it is still her, but you have to look at they're not the same person.
Right.
Also, if you ever watch Grownish up until the last season, the first 4 seasons, they're both main characters on there. They're both part of the cast.
And they were like running track and stuff. Yeah.
So towards, I say, the middle of the 3rd season, all of the 4th season, you see Chloe develop as an individual, period. So her character slowly grows up even on there, and we automatically associate the same thing for her as a person. So when this album came out, it was like, oh my God, she's not a little girl anymore. We can't look at her like a little girl. And I tell people when that album dropped and she was doing all the humping up and down on the bed music, I was looking at her like, oh my God, this is a child. I can't look at this. It's terrible. I refuse to watch this video because I feel like a pedophile.
Yeah.
Which is not the case. You're still you're 21, 22-year-old girl, so there's nothing wrong with it. But it's the fact that my eyes, I've never seen you like this. So it's weird. But those people who grew up with her, it's the music that's matching exactly what they're going through.
Right.
So that's all it is. We just got to stop looking at the same eyes that they do.
Yeah.
Think about disco music when it came out. That was wild and crazy for people back then.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if you grew up listening to Nat King Cole, you're not going to fuck with disco. But it's nothing wrong. But if you grew up in disco, shit, let's do some coke. Let's listen to the music. Let's go. It's life. It's the same. But anyway, this is what you get when you pod with me. You get an hour and 17-minute episode. You don't play. We don't play. All right.
Well, thanks for chilling with me today. And
I'm here for you. You know I got you.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a real episode.
This is another episode of Too Familiar. And we will be back next week. Bye. Nobody